I think there's a really underrated player in terms of just value they could have in impacting the 2023 season, and that is Cam Taylor-Britt. Not necessarily someone a lot of people are talking about, who he probably should be. So just to remind everyone who Cam Taylor-Britt is, he was the 60th overall pick in 2022, so he played a full season for Cleveland, and I thought consistently got better as the season went along. And for Cincinnati, they're kind of in a weird situation defensively, where if Cam Taylor-Britt does come in and play well for them, which, again, towards the end of the season, he played very well. I thought had a good rookie year. You have Chidobe Awuzie, who, one healthy, coming off an injury, but one healthy, is very good as one corner, and Cam Taylor-Britt on the other side. This could be a very good secondary. Yes, the safety issues are still there, but still, if you have good corners, you can get by with just okay safeties. That's typically how that works. However, if Taylor-Britt is not good and he takes a step back in year two, which does sometimes happen, this could be a disaster of safety and actually could be what prevents the Bengals from being a Super Bowl contender. So a lot is riding on the young 23-year-old for the Bengals, and that's why I wanted to make a video talking about him and the value and the impact he could have in this season, which I think is really massive. So let's talk about, to predict what he could do next season. A big way to do that is talk about what he did last season, so let's do that. We'll start off with this play. What you see on the screen, this is what you want to see a corner being able to do. Win one-on-one matchups on the outside, right? That's the situation here, and if he can be able to win these one-on-one matchups, he should be in a pretty decent spot. The reality is, I'll say it more simply, that if he can win these matchups one-on-one consistently, there's a very real chance that is the difference in the Bengals being Super Bowl contenders and not being Super Bowl contenders. As crazy as it is to say that just one player doing one thing could have that big of an impact, it really could, and let's see if he can do it here. Well, right off the bat, you see that the receiver who he's going up against is going to try to get the outside leverage, but there's really no separation here whatsoever, and it's probably fair to mention that a lot of times for the Patriots, they weren't able to win in these situations. That was a big issue for them last year, and part of why they weren't able to get over the hump was because of that. Also worth mentioning, this is Kendrick Bourne, who, didn't get a ton of these opportunities, but is one of the Patriots' better receivers. But you see right here, he just does not have a lot of separation. But Mac Jones is saying we never have separation on these routes. Let's just throw it up and see what can happen. Jones throws it up, and Britt, there's some contact. Britt eventually falls down, but still knocks it away. The Patriots wanted a flag. There was a little bit of contact, but not enough to draw the flag, and that's, good stuff from Cam Taylor-Britt at the end of the day. And the fact that he can do that, if he can now do it consistently, game in and game out, that could be the difference in them, again, being Super Bowl contenders. It really could. There's also stuff like this where, again, it wasn't all perfect for Cam Taylor-Britt. If I had to pick one big negative of his game, listen, first off, runs a 4.3, which, if you know me, that's something I really value in corners. It's a great predictor of future success. Guys who are fast corners tend to be successful at the next level. However, that doesn't mean you are infallible. It doesn't mean that mistakes won't happen. And here is a good example of him maybe making a mistake. Watch how right when this play begins, the receiver who he's going up against is going to kind of fake as though he's going over the middle, and this fake works. Britt is really prepared to stop this, and this is once again Kendrick Bourne who's running this route, who is a very good route runner. So when Bourne then cuts to the outside, looked like Britt tried to grab on and failed, tried to commit a penalty and failed to do so, which resulted in that to be a completion. Now, Britt was complaining that there was a little bit of a push off. There was a little bit of one, but I don't know if it mattered as much because Britt was already kind of out of position. And this is something I saw several times, is that he would get himself a little bit out of position. And then again, that little amount of contact, they're not going to call that. So, a little bit of a push shouldn't get you that far off. But heading over to the playoff run, I really thought that Britt's probably his best two games were actually the last two games. The game in the snow against the Bills was probably my favorite performance of his last year, but he also followed up with a great performance against Kansas City in, albeit a losing effort. But here's what he was able to do in this game where, a lot of it was just being aware of what's going on, which is something that you're definitely seeing him do a good job of, especially for a rookie, where, it's zone coverage. He's supposed to be playing a little bit further deep on this play. Watch how right when this play begins, you see how he's, in position to cover the receiver who's in front of him. If the ball goes in that direction, I think that there's a very good chance he's able to break in and knock the ball away. So, pretty good situation here. However, the ball is not going there. It's actually just going to be a quick flip to the halfback to see if he can do something. And again, you have help there, so you don't need to get there in a hurry, but if you see the ball go in that direction, well, why not look in that direction? And as you see, when the ball does get flipped over there, Cam Taylor-Britt is able to run over, and he is able to make a quick tackle. So, again, little things like this are very important. They don't seem like that big of a deal, right? For a corner, you just want someone who can cover well. That's typically how people view it. But at the end of the day, these things still matter, and they definitely build up over time. But heading over here, this actually might be my favorite thing about Taylor-Britt, despite the fact that it's definitely not a perfect play. In fact, it starts off as a disaster of a play. He's going to be going up one-on-one against Gabe Davis on this play. There's a single safety deep, so that's the situation right here. Again, very similar to what I talked about earlier, of if you can win in these situations, really, there's almost nothing a offense can do. If you're playing single safety deep, both of your corners are winning on the outside, what are you going to do? How do you go? There's so much traffic over the middle now. The running game won't work. It's so difficult for an offense to be successful if you can't get some chunk plays in these situations. But luckily for the Bills, right away, there appears to be some opportunity for a chunk play. Taylor-Britt tried to create some contact at the line and failed, and now there is separation, and this is a potential disaster here for Cincinnati. I mean, again, they were out big at this point anyway, but still, this could be something to help get the Bills back in the game, perhaps. But watch the closing speed here by Taylor-Britt. Yes, this was an underthrown football, but you know what? Still good stuff, and also good job of playing the receiver, seeing the receiver come back to the ball and being able to read where that ball probably is because of that. That's a good read as well. Listen, this is not a good play, right? It's not. I mean, he got beat pretty bad at the line. If you saw this, you'd be concerned. But one thing is, this isn't something I consistently see from Taylor-Britt. This is just something I saw on this play. And to me, part of why I like it and part of why I'm kind of, optimistic about Taylor-Britt is because it's the NFL and you're going to get out of position. That's just going to happen. But when you can come back after getting out of position, yes, if that was a perfect throw, it still would have been a completion, but still, that's your job at the end of the day as a corner, is force quarterbacks to make perfect throws because they can't do it that often. So yeah, that's kind of my thought on Taylor-Britt and why I think I'm betting on him to succeed and continue to get better and grow as a player. He was, good as a young player, but now he has to take the next step and just be good, right? Get rid of the negatives, get rid of the bad games, which towards the end of last season, he really did, I thought. I didn't think he had a bad, he started off kind of had a bad first 3 games he played, weeks 7, 8, and 9. That's when he first started, and that's when he came in and definitely had some growing pains, but I didn't think it was actively bad for any other game. If you're a PFF fan, he didn't have a single game under 50 after having his first 3 games with a grade under 50. Not a single one was under 50 since that point. Had some games in the 50s, sort of, in the middle of the season, but again, finished up with his best game was that Buffalo game with a grade of 84.6 and then a grade of 77.9 against Kansas City. 2 great games back to back, and if he can be that player, this team could be scary, and even if he's not, this team could be scary. It has a lot of great players. So yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.